you could do anything?
My guest today is, he just had a brand new special drop on YouTube called Daddy. It's hilarious. He is the host of Scissor Bros, as the podcast, as well as Jeremiah Wonders, and the host of an amazing stand-up series called Stand Up on the Spot on YouTube. Please welcome my guest, Jeremiah Watkins. How did I do okay with that? Did I there's so many things, dude.
It was fantastic.
Okay, do you want me to do it again? Because
No. It was actually, I was like, I don't even want him to interview this guy. That's too much.
They're done.
That's too much.
And
They're
we
done.
didn't say anything at this point. Everyone's gone.
They already tuned out.
They're gone,
the intro was
dude.
too long.
I got mad at you halfway through that. I was like, this guy does fucking everything. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I think it was worth me wearing the t-shirt. I think it was worth me putting it on and buying this t-shirt. I think it was worth it. I'm not in my head about it at all. I think it was a good choice, Drew. I think it was a good understated shirt to wear on a podcast. Raphael, when he saw me, he's like, why are you wearing a daddy shirt? And I'm like, why not? I'm like, okay, it might be the name of my special. It might be. There's a chance it's the name of my special.
But you could pull off ironically wearing it without that being the name of your special as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got like the perfect LA. You've got perfect LA candor. Is like you don't like you when you do something fashionable. I don't think people criticize you for it. I think you just have you have like an unassuming like I'm Jeremiah. I'm a nice guy, you know.
Yeah, I'm just trying something out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's gonna pick on someone who looks like they're sort of unassuming and how they're doing it. You know.
Right. Yeah.
That's good for you.
Somebody
man.
that didn't win this at a carnival or asked us to be air sprayed at a booth or anything like that. No, this is good. This is good.
We were sitting here just before, and I try not to talk to people beforehand, which is such a weird thing to be like, listen, you like we're gonna talk, but like not right now.
I have to tell my co-host all the time when we have a guest over. I'm like, when the guest is in there and we're still setting up cameras, I'm like, please stop talking. just give me 2 minutes because the chemistry is exploding out the door right now.
Yeah. It's already so good. Like, stop.
Yeah.
And maybe there is a podcast out there where someone starts recording before something even happens.
Right.
So you are, man, I want to let you know my first introduction to you and your comedy was I showed up one night, and then we'll go from there. I showed up one night at the store here in LA where it was a roast night, and I wasn't on it, but you were. My first introduction to you was you shirtless in the belly room with Jamar Neighbors, and you guys are like dancing around and going like oh, like that was my first, and I was thrilled. I was nauseous. I felt so many things, and the culmination of both the roasting environment and you guys just like it was crazy. And I was like, dude, how quickly you were able to maneuver between not only costumes but the characters that went with those costumes in between. Like that's been my introduction to your comedy, and your comedy has sustained in that way where I've noticed through your stand-up, through stand-up on the spot, you gravitate a lot towards like characters and big like splashy like fun figures to like do and act out on stage. So that was my introduction to you. It's just like Jamar Neighbors just sweating. And you just like this
primal.
Yeah, like this broccoli stalk of a built like
next to one of the strongest men alive. Yeah.
So I was thrilled to like when you see that. That's not who you are at all. Like, you know what I mean? You're not an aggressive individual.
Right.
But so for the longest time, I was like, I can't go back to the store, but also I can't see. I don't know that I could ever talk to him. I'll know that I'll talk to Bill Burr before I talk to
Oh, so you thought that was my that was me.
I mean, that's my introduction to, like, this was years ago. This was like 9-10 years ago.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to roasts, and also just like the brand of what that was at that time.
Sure. Yeah, well, it's a lot. If that's your first impression of me, I mean, online, that was a lot of people's first impression. To see that, and I'll tell you what, it was pretty divisive.
Yeah.
I
still can't look you in the eyes. I have a tough time. I look like at your forehead, and
just look at my nose. I won't know the difference.
I'm not gonna look.
It's just, it covers most of my face, so just look at my nose. I'll be good.
Yeah, I couldn't look at your face if I wanted.
Yeah. Your nose keeps getting in the way of your eyes. I'm trying to
you have
find
such
it.
a Mona Lisa nose.
Yeah. Your nose follows me everywhere I go.
I'm in a jail security camp.
Yeah, kind of odd. Yeah. No, when we were doing the show, it was one thing. So at the store, we were so celebrated because it was such an inside, like, homegrown thing, and everybody was on board with its inception and what we were really doing. But when we did it for TV, it got lost in translation, a lot of, like, what we were doing.
Yeah.
So the love was real strong for the people who got it, but the hate was so strong. It was so that was my first, really my first bout with like a massive amount of hate in a short amount of time, where people were trying to get us off of the show.
Just
actively.
Specifically towards you, or towards the cast of everyone else at the roast?
Just the wave, just me, Jamar Neighbors, and Willie Hunter. They're like, these guys have to go. They're ruining the show. Or the people who are comedy super fans are like, they make the show.
Yeah.
They're highlighting the show.
Yeah.
And so,
because then the roast that I had seen thereafter, there are people who just love it. Like, love, the wave that you guys, branded yourselves as, to that in between stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when I did a roast and you guys were there, I felt so, like, I was like, damn, like I felt thrown as a roaster, as a bad
sure.
one.
Well, you're not factoring in that. You're just preparing for your jokes. You're not preparing for if your joke goes so well that, like, it causes the wave to erupt, or even worse, if the joke falls flat, then the wave is coming out to heighten whatever feeling just was.
I did a joke, bro. I did a joke from my roast. I lost my roast. I lost my roast to Connor McSpadden, who's amazing. And I lost my roast, and I remember I did some joke as a rebuttal, and it bombed. And you, I think I remember this. You took a squeegee, and like, you squeegeed my joke across the fucking. Bro, it broke my heart, dude. Like, no bomb where someone was like, "I'll just get that for you." Shit. Let's get this right here.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And you and I didn't know each other really well. We still don't know each other super well, but we didn't know each other well enough. So for me, I was just so, like, that's my first impression of that fucking guy. And then my second is him squeegeeing my flat dead joke off of the belly room floor.
So, can I tell you my first impression of you?
Oh, sure.
So I feel, what's funny about this situation is I thought we were closer than we actually are. Because I thought that I've known you since even before the roast battle. I think one of my first impressions of you was, I think that when did you actually move to LA?
I moved to LA in 2010. I moved out here when I was 18, but I wasn't doing stand-up for the first year and a half, 2 years. Two years that I lived out here. Pre-injury, I worked at Flappers. I worked the door at Flappers.
That was my first introduction to you, was at Flappers.
Interesting.
Yeah. That was my very first intro. I wouldn't go to Flappers very often, but I would see you go up from time to time.
Yeah, now you're there every day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. My name's on the wall. Is the whole thing. Yeah. I carved it in, but yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think I remember seeing you go up there, and when you are just all doing mics around the same time. Like I think everybody's kind of in that same ecosystem. We're like, yeah, we all know each other. We're all friends. I think it was kind of like that in my head.
Well, I see. Here's the thing: is like it truly might have been that like you and I saw each other or met. And here's the thing: I met so many comics from when I worked over at Flappers.
I can't even imagine.
Like when you work the door, it's just like over at the store where it's like these guys, like I could see somebody the next day. I had to do however many shows with Guam before Guam didn't like pat me down. You know what I mean? And
right.
So it really is that, but at the same time, maybe it wasn't even that. My first impression of you was one that it really might have just been that's the one I just don't remember. The one that your neck stop, like it's red. The red stops right here, and then there's your body. I was like, that guy. Something's clogged, like right here, because your shirt is off.
Yeah.
And
but all red right here, and then ghostly white from the neck down. Yeah. No, I've seen pictures. I know what I look like, Drew. Thank you.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying, like, that's the that's what's
Do you know how many photos I've seen of myself where I'm like, this is what I look like? I'm like, wow. I get why people hate me sometimes. This is how I look. I get it.
There's no actual reason for anybody to. So I want to know how you navigated the feedback that you got from the wave and then the roast and then the because roast battle it's not on anymore.
No, it's no longer like on Comedy Central anymore. Yeah. We did 3 seasons, which for Comedy Central, that's usually about the most you're gonna get for typical shows.
Yeah, unless you're Workaholics or
right, for sure.
Yeah. So how did you feel? Did you feel stuck? Did you feel like you were like, oh, I'm such an individual? Because also you're a big part of Kill Tony as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and you're so like. There's not a lot of people that know this about you, but like, or maybe they do, but like you can do so many different things. Like musically, you're talented. Like improvisationally, you're talented. You just so my question is like, how did you find more of your identity now, and are you more comfortable with where you are now with stand up? Like, what's the line from where you were, basically seen and getting hate as the wave,
right.
from roast, and then to where you are like now.
So, I had to make a very thoughtful decision about the last few years with my stand-up and everything, because what happens is there was a point in LA comedy when, I mean, it's going to sound crazy when I lay this out, like what was going on. But they did, Julie Seabaugh did an LA Times article on me that said the busiest comedian in LA.
Wow.
And she listed the shows that I was a part of. And when it's laid out, it kind of looked kind of crazy.
I just read them like a second ago.
Right.
It's really annoying.
So it was at the ensemble shows, I was doing Roast Battle, Kill Tony, the Goddamn Comedy Jam.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was doing this show called Midnight Snack, which was like a music improv comedy show that was late night at the Improv, where we would do basically musical crowd work.
That's awesome.
And then also stand up on the spot, and I was doing a music comedy duo at the time, Reagan and Watkins, with Pat Reagan. So I had these 5 or 6 shows and acts all along with my stand up that I'm doing throughout the week.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it's great at the beginning because people are like, oh, this guy can do everything. He can do a little bit of this and that. But the problem is, in my opinion, what was happening for a while, what I had to change is it became white noise, where when you're doing too much at once, it becomes just snow on TV where you're like, you don't know where to look. It's all busy, but there's no nice picture that is forming. It's just literally static.
Yeah.
So in the last few years, I had to stop, and I'm really close friends with everybody involved. They all understood that it was my time to move on from the show, but I stopped doing Roast Battle. I stopped doing Kill Tony. I stopped doing the Jam, and I was like, I gotta focus on my own stuff, and that's when I started putting more energy into like Stand Up on the Spot, my show that I host. And we worked on making that a series where that's a YouTube series now, and we shot an episode with you recently, and that's more what I'm focusing on, where people are identifying me as a stand-up and not the guy who's squeegeeing other people's jokes.
You'll always be that. Don't even worry about
okay,
that. To me,
to you,
you'll
I'll always be that guy. Yeah.
But so it really came down to being so multifaceted almost hurt you. Or at least your commitment to being that multifaceted.
Whatever I decide to put myself into, to a fault sometimes even. Sometimes it's hard for me to even pull out because I commit so hard, and sometimes I overcommit. I'll throw myself into projects 1,000% if I believe in it. If I believe in it, I'll ride it into the ground, and I'll be like, I'm here, and I'll fall on the sword for the better of the show. I've always been like an ensemble guy, but that's kind of goes back with my improv background. Like, oh, if I'm bombing, but I set you up for an amazing kill, then I'll be the fall guy. It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, we talked about that too when we did stand up on the spot, because there's a section of after when the performer has the individual set, you come on stage.
Right.
And dude, you just kind of let me just go, you know what I mean? And up there to help like facilitate. And also I think we also, you and I had a few things together from our little episode from Stand Up on the Spot where we, it was fun, but like I felt so like, oh no, this is Jeremiah's show. I don't want to like I don't want to step on his toes or whatever.
Not at all. I literally anytime we did an episode in New York with Mark Normand where he was on fire. When a comic's on fire and I happen to be on stage, I'm doing my best to not get in their way. Sometimes I accidentally do. And I'll see that in the comments. And we're like, they were killed. I'm like, okay, sorry. Listen, I get it. I interjected too much, even though I'm up there.
The guy from The Wave?
Right? What's he doing? He's interrupting stand-up now? Come on. But I try, the longer that I do the show, like I'm on every episode of the show. So if I'm setting up the other comic on stage, I'm doing my job. Like even if I'm prompting with a question or a line that motivates it in a funny way, like where that person's in it and they're ranting and I'm like, it's just maybe I'm just representing the audience. I'm representing like, oh wow, you're really doing it right now. That's great. I'm just trying to facilitate the kill for somebody on stage. Wow. Yeah. Or like, can you believe this guy? I mean, he's great.
Yeah, and so this is gonna sound strange to say, but I actually get the same kind of vibe. So like I think you're such a nice person. You're such a person who like even like as you just kind of said to your own admission, like you're someone who is such a team player, and that in the past is something that like maybe it can be hard for people who are such team players, who are so committed to just being like, like the integrity of my character is on the line. Yeah. I'm also someone who I don't bullshit. There's so much bullshit in LA, and there's people who bullshit. And when you're not that person, you really, it's very binary. You're very much like, I'm either that way or I'm not that way. And you are someone who, when you commit to those things, it feels like I can imagine those personality types have a tough time making those decisions for themselves, making those decisions for themselves, where they can be they have to be more selfish in order to make that pivot towards a career that they want to have that's focused on themselves.
Sure. I mean, that's the idea behind putting out more specials and more like I put out these crowd work documentaries, I call them, that I really like. They're kind of mockumentaries of crowd work, but they're 30 for 30 style, where it's serious interviews of me recollecting what was going on the weekend, like that it was shot.
That's so great.
And it's a way for me to kind of call out things that maybe I didn't think of in the moment while I was on stage, but revisiting it in a serious, dramatic way. Yeah. And I've been putting those out. Like I put out a couple this last year, and I've got a couple more that will come out like in the next like year or whatever. But more just projects where, like you're saying, being selfish, but it's not like as a stand-up, that's kind of like, that's what the job is. But it is hard sometimes with shows where, for me, because I want to be doing more sketches and more ensemble stuff. I have so much fun collaborating with people. Like some of my favorite parts of Stand Up on the Spot are getting to join my funny friends on stage and seeing what we can do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this is something that, like I said, like you wouldn't know this about you from you kind of taking a more ensemble role in your past, but like you're such a bright like improv, like Troy Conrad is this way as well. It's crazy. You guys give similar vibes to me in that he's someone who's so on the background and so on the wall, but he's a genius.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Troy Conrad's hilarious. And when I used to work over at Flappers and he was bringing his stand-up on the spot style show set list where the things are written behind you and the performer has to just kind of improvise as though it is their set. He would just do it and it was just so effortless. And like, you know, to be able to also take on a role of like him with photography and him also being so multifaceted. And if I can be candid about, you know, sometimes my frustration is with certain things is I also can spread myself very thin. Right?
Sure.
Just like, you know, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do this thing. And so, you know, it's I'm glad that you made that decision for yourself to be like, this is what's going to make me feel more fulfilled.
For sure. Otherwise, I mean, I think you can, if you're too giving, that's the thing. You can end up in the background of your own movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I saw you in Spokane. I saw you in Spokane. You were there with Hinchcliffe, and you were there in the green room. You had, I think, a trumpet. I think you either had a trumpet or sax. Yeah. You had a sax.
Yeah, you were on the show before us.
Yeah. So that was I think was that 2019 or
that would have been 2017. Maybe.
Was it 2017
or 18? It could have been 2019.
I feel like it was 20. I feel like it was just before
the lockdown.
Yeah,
it could have been. Yeah,
I feel like that's
we did Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Up until I was part of the show all the way up through like 2020.
Yeah. And at that time, were you in that place where you were thin?
I mean, yeah, that was like peak.
Yeah.
Me being thin, like that was like around like 2019, 2020, right around there. That was like when I was consciously being like, I need to make some changes to start shifting things into where it's me as like the lead guy rather than guy next door.
Yeah.
Because I'm to a fault. I can be a good sidekick very easily, very, very easily.
Yeah.
Like I'm good at supporting and doing the whole thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you just briefly in between shows, and there was like, I don't think you're a sad guy, but I felt like you were sad that night. Like I was like, man, he's just there like to discover someone with a woodwind instrument in the green room. I was like, I don't think he's even I don't even think he's playing tonight. I think he's just doing that in between hobbies, like in between the things he wants to be doing. Like it was a moment where I was like, there was an energy there that I for sure picked up on.
Well, those shows on the road when we would do them were leading up were so stressful. When we were on stage, so fun, but what we would do is when it was me, Joel Jimenez, and Jesse Johnson, it would be different pairings of either the three of us on the road towards the end or Joel and I on the road, or sometimes it would just be me as the band on the road with Tony and Brian.
Yeah.
And I would be learning songs leading up to it or finding things out about the city or trying to find certain references that fit with my character that I was doing that night. I was literally studying and figuring out all this stuff, like cramming for a test, essentially, right before you go on. So I was trying to learn 8 or 10 songs on sax right before I go up. So when you saw me, that's peak of stress of figuring out and trying to like organize everything and trying to make sure that I'm like great as the character, but also do my best musically and also be on comedically. So it's like so layered.
It's a lot. I mean, we got your neck's gonna snap by wearing so many hats.
Yeah.
You know, it's really what it is. Now, when I have two questions about your characters. First of all, your Jordan Peterson fucking kills me, dude. It kills me. And it's such a committed sketch. You don't see that level of commitment from the sketches a whole lot. You know, you've got Gilly, and then that's it. I mean, you know, like that's it. Like the quality of just something that's like so short, but
Mm-hmm.
it's out there, and it's one of those things where sometimes you'll see the simplest things that have no production value get so much traction, and so you get sometimes stuck in the limbo of like, all right, am I in this place of working harder or smarter right now? But nevertheless, that the sketches with that are so committed, so funny. When you write, are you someone who writes where you gravitate towards characters? Because even in your most recent special, Daddy, great shirt, even in your most recent special called Daddy on YouTube, you can count minutes before it's like Jeremiah's in a character right now,
right?
And here's a great character with such a unique take on what that character is saying, or even if it's just the setup is getting to that place. So do you write character first, or do you just find yourself coming up to it and you go, oh, here's such a strength of mine, here's where this goes?
Yeah, I enjoy doing the characters so much that I do sometimes find ways to make that happen. I used to write, when I first was starting stand-up, which you don't know how to write stand-up at all, what I would do is I would write the punchlines first.
Yeah, it's a great way to write.
I would write what I wanted the act out to be. Mm-hmm. And the hardest part would be, over the months, figuring out the premise of why I am allowed to be this idiotic as this character or this act out.
That's so great.
And I wrote like that for a long time, and then like over the years, like found more of a balance of like, this is my point of view of this, and it's a little bit more even, and then the premise and the act out kind of find each other later on. But
I think that's an advantage. I would say some of my favorite ways to work something is working it backwards, or it's like all I have to do is just, it's almost like you're the detective who's to solve the murder, but you just have to figure out the crime scene,
right?
And so that's such a cool way, and such a unique way of writing from an early place. If you were so early and you were doing that, that's just that's atypical.
Yeah, so I have a lot of fun like trying to find the characters and the different like act outs as far as that goes, because if you watch my special, it's very silly, it's zany, and it's
within the
fun.
first 5 minutes you're on an audience member's lap.
Yeah,
I'm gonna switch legs, by the way, Raphael.
Is that okay? Is that okay, or do we get any producer notes whenever we switch legs now? Can I switch legs back and forth freely, or are you gonna be controlling me from behind the booth over there? Good grief. Where's my squeegee when I need it?
You see how close Jeremiah's foot got to your face?
Dude, I have such long limbs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I could almost kick you in the face from here, Drew. I could almost do it. My limbs are crazy long.
Dude, it's like you underestimate grasshoppers. And I think, like, when it's here and you're like, oh, it's on the porch now. Yeah. Like, that is what your legs are, dude.
I mean, that's what you see those internet videos where somebody looks at a spider on the floor, like, oh, look at the spider. And it's on their face all of a sudden. Yeah, that's me.
When you just did that.
Oh, dude.
How closely that went.
I almost kicked all the cameras off. Yeah.
You had when I watched Daddy, God damn it, I hate that you named it that. Now I have to say that so many times.
Daddy.
I know why, because it's in the special, but I just hate it. Just name it Deer Legs or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a part in it that did make me laugh, where it's like, there's an alt scene in Los Angeles. And do you resonate more with like an alt scene, or do you resonate more with like, and it's not fair to label yourself, but is there one where you find yourself like gravitating towards, or if people come up to you and said you're alt? Because there are some Pete Holmes-esque things that you say, like there's certain things that like, they're just very specific, and like men, we don't buy towels. We're just given towels,
right?
Like there's just specific
we inherit
things.
Towels.
Like
yeah.
We inherit towels. Yeah, sorry, we inherit towels. It's just such a specific thing, and that does do so. Yeah, I want to know like if that's like do you identify with one or the other, like alt, or I'm mainstream, or is it just like I'm me and that's what it is?
I have always kind of said that I'm, however you want to say it, I identify as somebody who is a club guy who is alt, or a guy who is an alt club guy. So I perform at clubs. That's what I do. I do weekends. Like that's where I'm performing. I'm a regular at the store. Like that's my home club. I love performing in the club settings. I actually, it always was sometimes even frustrating to me that a lot of the alt rooms that I would do wouldn't give me a chance. Which I'm like, you're doing yourself a disservice. To not let me in, because if
I'm the mascot,
I would be very fun in your rooms. I'd be very fun.
I've tried the other ones, and I don't go there.
Yeah. But I've been doing this live show with do you know Ian Abramson? Do you know that comic? He's very revered in the alt scene. But we have been doing this live show recently called The Ven, where we get alt and club comics on the same lineup just to throw them all together on one show. Because he and I have always felt like he's a very alt guy, but his stuff works in clubs. And my stuff is very club, but it can work in alt rooms.
Interesting.
So we've always had a kindred spirit in that, where when we don't get booked on the other sides of town that often, but when we do, it usually ends up working out pretty well.
Yeah.
But I definitely, as far as clubs go, I'm definitely way, way alt compared to a lot of the club comics.
Yeah. I mean, and it's some of those things where it's like, when you watch like Glassman, and it's just the comics in the back are just losing their minds, and the audience is not laughing at all. And that's not all the time. It's just sometimes that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's an atypical experience.
That's where my club instinct kicks in, though. I've worked on it and honed it over the years, where I'm weird, but it's still going to work in the Midwest.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. You have to.
Because but I will say, when I'm doing certain rooms in the South and the Midwest and stuff, I do have to tone down the weird. Because after a certain point, they'll give you a little bit. They'll give you a little bit of leeway. But then I'm like, oof, I got to go and do some. I have a wife stuff.
Yeah, we got to know that you're a normal human
being. That you are a person.
That you're a person.
Underneath all the silly that's happening. Yeah.
I totally see that. I totally can agree that when you're doing that in those rooms down there, like, and it's got to be in the 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and then you gotta. And so my wife, and so I'm from this place, or my name's Jeremiah. Something.
Gotta get them on board
reset
first.
Yeah. Or exactly. Otherwise, it's a long bomb.
Oh yeah, and I've had those. Had plenty of those. Learning, going and committing and doubling down a little bit too hard. Being like, no, they'll come around. Guess what? They did it.
What's your worst bomb that you had?
I have so many.
Hit me with one that was on the road, where it was like hit me with one that you remember, where it was like it was just a bomb that you just bombed your balls off, man.
Well, I had one show this was recently, where they decided, the club. There's no reason for me to say the club.
Yeah,
The staff decided to side with the customer over the comic, and they kept the heckler in the room for my freaking set.
No.
And it was a nightmare. And this lady afterwards came up to me, slammed her empty beer bottle on my merch table, and she goes, "You suck," and then walked out. And I was so heated that the club did nothing to protect the comic that I was like, man, this feels horrible. Like, I've never wanted to hit a woman, but that night I was ready to tackle this lady.
Wow. It's still hitting her. That's very respectable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
football tackle down the stairs.
Oh. They didn't have stairs, but you wanted there to be stairs.
Yeah, a flight of stairs. Throw her down it. See what happens. I would have done it with a man right away. Right away. This was a woman. Give her the benefit of the doubt.
Give her that long legs, Jeremiah. Give her one of these. Or she turns the corner and it's your... Wow, man. So, damn. And that was recent.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was crazy.
That kills me, bro.
Yeah.
That kills me. Knowing that they you feel powerless, and you just feel insignificant, like, and that to them $28 is worth more than keeping you, because you'll always remember that time, that experience, that club.
Luckily the other people who were there were very sweet, and they're like, oh, sorry for her, we had such a good time. It was that kind of thing. But I'm like, oh, that's still roughy. Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, that's tough. I did a show recently where I told a lady to get out, and the staff did not kick her out. Dude, don't you feel like an idiot? I'm just like, are you serious? This is the one thing that we have power for. And then if you're not doing it, we look like a freaking moron. And we look like such a pussy.
Halfway through the set, bro, I was like, you're done. Get out. You're done. The staff is just... Because the Oysters are 90 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, get out. And then she's like, and nothing's happening. And I was like, are you going to behave? You have to go back. Because I was already up to that point. I was like,
a kid at the supermarket. Like, well, I'm only going to buy you 3 things, honey. Okay? I know I said I wasn't going to buy you anything, but I'll buy you 3, and that's it.
Yeah, dude. You can't, you reprimand a kid who's crying and you're still in Disneyland. What can you do? Yeah, it's just, and so it's so powerless. You feel like such an idiot. And mine was pretty recent too. It's crazy, bro. I've never kicked out in 12 years of stand-up. I've kicked out one person.
I usually find ways, like, because I riff and I do so much crowd work in my shows and I'm very loose.
Yeah.
I find a lot of pride that I usually am able to find a funny way to chill a person out.
Absolutely.
Or if they really want to go, I'm like, okay, you're ruining the show.
Yeah.
Like, feel free to walk out. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. But like, I find good ways to extinguish it.
Absolutely.
But like, every once in a while, as you know, there is no way other than being like, you gotta go.
Point of no return, and that's usually at the point when it's not even when it breaks my threshold. It's when the people around you are not. Yeah,
they can't focus on you.
Yeah, it's just visibly uncomfortable for the people around, and you're disrupting the overall flow and ambiance of the show. And it's only happened 2 times. And one time was recent where I successfully had to get the lady out, and then the other time was the time where halfway through, like she was just so drunk, as they usually are, and I told her to get out, and then the ushers were just so much older, so they could, like, they didn't. They were just like, we don't know. Like, we're frail. Like, you can see our veins from the stage. What do you want us to do? And I was like, yeah, that's not your fault. But just like that, And I agree with you about like mediating that stuff. You want to, if you can do it right, because there's so many hecklers, or there's so many audience members who engage because they're actually fans of what you're doing. So you don't want it to ever think that it's coming from a malicious place, and that you can get on the same page of doing it.
Oh no, it's the worst when you try to start and they're like, I love you. I'm like, oh no, I'm not trying to, thank you, but you're ruining the show. We'll talk after the show. I'm happy to talk with you for as long as you want after the show.
Yeah, I love my grandma, but she's racist.
Yeah. I'm there with you, brother. Hello.
That's why I love her.
For best quality.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to Thanksgiving if there wasn't stuff that happened. Yeah, man. So that's it. So what's a time that because I talked to you before the pod, and with my experience and my injury, my history, for even how I came into stand up, I think a big part of what we do is really taking risks, betting on ourselves, and it always finds a way to hopefully pay off. Yeah. Sometimes it backfires, but maybe there's a little silver lining in sometimes the stuff that happens there. Like even in your immediate example here, the silver lining is you got other audience members who are like, we love you. Right. You're amazing.
Don't worry about her.
Don't worry
blah,
about
blah,
her.
blah.
Exactly. You got a free beer out of it. She left it on the table.
I recycled. I got 10 cents off of it. It was a great
Look at
night.
this is all positive.
What
are you bitching about?
Yeah.
So what's an experience for you where you doubled down and it either backfired or it paid off in a way for you?
So I'll tell a story that came to mind when we were talking. It immediately backfired right away.
Okay.
But down the line,
Ooh, layers, Jeremiah.
There's
Come
layers.
on.
There's layers.
Come
there's
on,
layers.
Jeremiah.
So I mentioned the Comedy Jam was a show that I was a part of.
The goddamn?
Yeah. Some people call it that.
Do they?
Yeah, just that. I'm like, that's okay. But shout out to Josh Adam Myers and the band and everybody involved with the show.
Yeah.
We were doing a taping for Comedy Central, and Josh Adam Myers was amazing about fighting for me and Johnny Scortis, we were roadie characters for the show that would be hyping up the crowd. We were like hype men. We'd get it going at the top. We'd do a little bit of shtick, riff with the crowd. Sometimes I would play sax on the show. So I was like this roadie hype man character named Mosh Pit. That was the name of the character, all right?
You were Josh Adam Myers.
I was basically mocking Josh Adam Myers. Like in one storyline of the show, I was like, I'm his brother. Don't worry about it, okay?
Best voice in all of comedy, by the way.
Oh, it's amazing.
God bless it. Dude,
Legendary
that guy.
voice.
And so effortless.
Oh, yeah.
Love Josh Adam Myers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All you got to do is be from Baltimore and do a lot of ketamine. So
And he's got, what's up with his keys? How many doors? How many doors?
Listen, I'm the ghost of janitor's past, all right? I got a Bugatti. I got a 1990 Honda Civic. I also run every soda machine in the valley.
Thank God Josh has got such a resonant voice because you could not hear it over his fucking
The
keys.
keys? Yeah.
Bro, it's so
Especially when I'm doing the act house and squiggles. Yeah.
I've never seen a comic make love to my girlfriend from the stage, but Josh Adam Myers can do it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like-
he can do it.
I'm like, I feel like, stop. What's going on?
Yeah, he puts out an aura. He does.
All right, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
But
all
anyway,
good. So
you
we're at
had
the
this character.
Comedy Central taping.
Yeah.
He fought for us to do. We ended up doing like taping like a digital series for Comedy Central that went on their website, and he was fighting for us to get screen time in the show that was actually going out on cable to the network on Comedy Central, and they let him film a set and a story that was going to lead into a song with the band. That's how the show goes, is you do a little bit of stand-up and then you tell a story of the reason why you are picking the song that you're about to sing with the live band. So they let him do that as the host. And me and Johnny Scortis talked, and we're like, we gotta make an impression here because we don't know if we're gonna get screen time on the show, like anywhere, because they were kind of putting us in the audience. They weren't letting us do our normal shtick at the top of the show and throughout, because we would kind of be co-hosts with Josh, and they weren't letting Josh host the show. So we're like, okay, well, if Josh isn't hosting, then like our role is definitely insignificant because we're like his wingmen, kind of. We're supporting him. So they were letting him shoot a set and a story. We were excited. We were like, we got to make an impression. So he told a story about how he got caught with the possession of cocaine on his birthday. So on the song, what we were going to do is we were going to, like LeBron James style, throw up plumage of baby powder on stage and act like we were doing coke on stage and all this stuff. This was the first thing that they were shooting at the beginning of the night for the shoot. The set was completely black. We decide to go out there. We're acting like we're doing cocaine while he's singing a song. It's killing with the crowd. Plumage going out over. People are going nuts. Rock fingers, the whole thing. I'm going as hard as I humanly can. I'm going crazy. I'm headbanging. I'm like fully convulsing on stage. I only have a vest on.
See, this is one of the things I would have walked in and saw you. And
Yes.
I'm like, this is who this guy is.
He does this everywhere. He's a convulsing comic. That's what he does.
In 2 years, we will see that.
Yes.
On TikTok, there will be a convulsing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sorry. All right.
So we do that, and in the moment, we're like, that destroyed. The second we get off stage,
Oh, motherfucker.
the second we get off, the director is losing his mind, because not only did we do something that we didn't inform any of the production about, we also made a huge mess on the stage.
Yeah.
It's covered now on this black. Not only is it visually not appealing to look at, they're worried about some of the female
Continuity.
performers
Oh.
in stilettos slipping on baby
Oh,
powder
shit.
on the slick. It's like vinyl floor, so it's
Oh,
like
I
that
see.
black kind of
Yeah,
floor.
yeah.
They're worried about like people falling now. They're worried about the look, and they reamed us out so hard that the director said to one of the people, Jeremiah will never work in this town again.
Oh, no.
To that point,
Wow.
where I was.
That's the director's favorite thing to say, by the way.
Oh yeah.
They have that. Like,
And guess what? Not my first time I had heard that. Not my first time I had heard that leading up to this
I'm
point.
going to tell it to you at the end of this. You'll never.
Yeah.
That's a director's favorite. That's why they get into directing.
Right.
That has to
So
be
they
why
can use that line.
It's they heard it somehow in somewhere. Someone said that you'll never work in this town again, and they're like, "That's me, man."
Yeah.
They're actors. Directors want to be actors.
Yep.
They want to act as directors.
Yeah, they want their Pacino moment. They'll never.
Wow, we just cracked it, dude.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Directors
That's
just
what it
want to be
is.
actors
That's
off
their
camera.
monologue.
They're stage actors
That's
off
their
camera.
thesis.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. That's their character, their intention. Mm-hmm. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's
You'll
deep.
never.
Never.
In the mirror? No. You'll never.
Yeah.
No.
Which word do I hit the hardest?
You'll never work. You won't work in any town. This town?
This town.
You won't. Ventura Boulevard. You get on the north side of Ventura, you're dead.
It's not
done.
happening.
Yeah.
No.
No. What am I saying?
Here, let me
You'll
take that
never
back.
work in this town again.
Okay, yeah, that's the best one. That's the best option. Yeah.
He's trying to improvise.
Yeah. No, stick to the script. Stick to
There's
the
a
script.
reason that it's a classic, and
Right.
an adage.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the rest of the producers and stuff, they all know me. They know that I'm ignorant and I was just doing it for the bit. I wasn't thinking. They're just like, just stay away from the director.
Bro, if you actually had to squeegee baby powder, that would have been the best. That would have been the moment where I was
Right.
like, oh, he actually squeegees.
Oh, full circle. His space work did look very realistic. It comes from a real place. Huh. Okay. This guy's method. I like that. I do like that about Jeremiah. It comes from a very sad, dark place.
It is. Now that I think about it, the way you did it made me mad. I was so convinced that that's his spatial work.
He's holding something.
There's weight to it. There's weight.
Yeah.
All right.
There's gravitas.
Okay. So to stay away from the director. They told you to stay away from the director.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got to apologize later on, and I got to finish the rest of the shoot because I stayed away and I basically. But what the problem was is they were worried also about hitting overtime because they had to clean and all this stuff.
Yeah, budget, production.
I literally almost caused that one bit. It was almost a $50,000 bit that was literally that I did in 15 seconds on stage. Because it got on the instruments, it got
$1,000 a second, dude.
I know, man. Crazy.
Hookers in Amsterdam don't even
Yeah.
go for that. I don't know anything.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. You ever traveled?
I'll give you something to travel size. Hey. But
How acute is your V angle for your? You're so skinny. My shit's like
it's just lateral.
it's a handshake, bro.
Yeah.
Yours is like. Yours are almost parallel.
Yeah. Side by side, companions, kimosabi, right into the sunset. Yep.
You got a sidecar.
So fast forward to many years later, I'm actually.
You haven't worked
No.
in this town.
I'm actually friends with the director now.
Oh, nice.
We play basketball
There you
together.
go.
And he had me do a crowd warm up for a tribute to the Beach Boys that'll be airing on CBS this spring.
Wow.
And I did it at the Dolby Theater. I got to do stand up at the Dolby.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how? Just by keeping your distance?
No, I
You
proved
had to
myself.
massage?
That same director who did the jam was also the director of the Roast Battle series.
Oh, okay.
So I had enough good faith with him where he's just like, this isn't Roast Battle, man. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. I thought I could.
Did the bit air?
No.
Yeah, you fucked up. Bro.
It didn't air. Oh. It aired online, and that's it. I got a sweet sizzle reel moment of me convulsing. But that's it. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I guess I'd be upset too.
Yeah, for a bit that didn't even.
Yeah. And yeah. Ugh. So I like that in that it backfired.
But I stayed true to myself.
Enough. And it'll be another thing if you were a dick and you didn't understand. Like if you were just like whatever, I just did my thing. I'm funny or whatever.
I got it right away. I was like, I wasn't thinking. I didn't know it would cause a mess. I thought the plumage would go up and not down.
LeBron never talks about that.
Yeah. LeBron never tells you that it comes back down. Gravity. Should have learned a little bit more in school about physics with. The baby powder.
Bro, the fact that we opened this with squeegee and this somehow has a little bit to do with squeegee.
Oh, yeah. The crew was definitely pushing that off. And while I was hiding. I was you in that scenario. I was hiding inside myself when I saw somebody else push brooming the baby powder.
Pounds of baby powder.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's great. What is your end goal with comedy? And you might not even have one because you're so multifaceted. But what's the thing that you're like, that's my, this is my dream?
I mean, I want to do stand-up regardless of whether I do movies, TV shows, a sketch show. I want to be able to... All the things are so to funnel into being able to tour with stand-up and stuff like that. Yeah. I absolutely love doing stand-up. I would love
that more than improv.
Well, the thing I've found a way to kind of merge the worlds where, like, with stand-up on the spot, and even when I headline, like even in the hour in Daddy, I go in and out of material, and I do it with the crowd, and I try to make it like a seamless, fun thing. And I feel like I accomplish that with when you come see me headline on the road is I get all the time, and I love this compliment is and I don't even know if people mean it as a compliment, but I take it as they're like, I couldn't tell. You suck. I can't tell really if that's a compliment or not. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm trying to work through it, but
do they mean you
like the
everyone?
World, or is it like singularly you? But when people say I couldn't tell what parts of your show were material and improv because it was so all over the place and so in the moment and present. I love that. I love those are my favorite kind of shows. Who are some of your favorite comics that you watched when you first started? And you've been doing this how long? Since I stand up since 2010, and I was doing improv like in high school and college before that. But I don't really, it's kind of hard to count that. So who are some of your favorites that like you watched stand up wise, and you were like, oh, I get inspiration from this person? Honestly, I mean, I still will say, because this guy is so good at, I think he is actually the master of this. He's done this. He can have done the same material, or I've seen him do the same material so many times. But he makes it sound like it's the first time he's saying it. Every single set I've seen him do. Bobby Lee is one of those guys where you watch and how he delivers. I don't know. It's such a skill because when we get tired of material, there's not that spark. That is in the delivery that should be. And he's found a way to do that over the years. Bobby's got that boyish sort of, but he's a great actor too. So he's just, he's got a vibrance. You have no idea how old Bobby Lee's like timeless. Yeah. So great. when I was years ago, when I started opening for him, he was like one of the early guys, one of the first guys to take me on the road. That was one of the first ones where my family was like, this is cool, because my brother and I like would watch him on Mad TV as kids and stuff like that. Yeah. So my family was, and my family knew who he was. They're like, that's, you're doing it. That kind of thing. My first experience with Bobby Lee
was he was shirtless. Every single one is they're shirtless and yelling at
Yeah.
every single person I talk about.
Yeah.
No, my first experience with Bobby was I was at JFL in 2019, and we're doing the taping thing for JFL there. And, everybody's got like their own little section of the green room. Like there's an upstairs green room, and there's a TV where you can watch the sets of the comic. No one's in front of the TV. Bobby's just kind of there on the couch, whatever, just whoever talking to somebody or whatever. And so I go downstairs, I do the set, I come back up, and Bobby, like in just that same like, in that same like young sort of way, he just like I come and see, he goes, dude, he goes, I've never heard of you. I've never heard of you before. You're so good. And I was like, thanks, man. Oh, he was just, he did like one of these. Oh, so good. Like he was just so nice. Like,
genuine.
Yeah. It was nothing. He was just, dude.
He is really so good about, if he finds somebody funny, he will give them their flowers. He's really good about that. Yeah. He saw my set at the potluck at the Comedy Store, and that was the beginning of him taking me on the road.
Wow.
Just from me, like him seeing me, like he pulled me aside. He's like, the first night he saw me, he's like, he goes, what you're doing on stage right now, it doesn't have a long shelf life, so you need to write a little bit more. Because I was falling down a lot. Like when he saw me on stage, he goes, it's really funny, but he goes, your body's not going to be able to sustain that. Like he goes, you're in your early 20s right now. You're fine right now, but you got to think longer term. Think of things that where you're not hurting yourself.
Wow.
And he said, but he goes, your commitment, he goes, you should be on a sketch show. He goes, it's
true. It's true. I mean, it's true that just the way in the things that I've seen you just your ability to just kind of find the point and then lock into what that is, and that's again improv, but also sketch.
Sure. I mean, that's you're talking about like grand scheme of things. I'd love to do movies and TV. I'd love to have my own sketch show or be on somebody's sketch show. For sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of the dream for sure.
Because when I watch your stand up, I get kind of like are we good, Ralph? You good? Okay. When I watch,
is his foot all right? Good grief, man. We're really flowing, and then you keep taking us out of it. Continue, Drew. God. Does the sign look okay? Did it move? Yeah, we're good. Back where you were. My goodness, dude. I think I might have to fire your producer, dude.
Good grief.
The guy who gets really pissed. But
good. Yeah. He doesn't swear.
Good.
Yeah. You ever met with
God, man.
With Christians who were they?
Yeah. You son of a God.
Yeah. When you go, my dad on church on like because I grew up going to church, and my dad on Sundays he would never like he would just try to, he's an angry riddled individual. So those sons. Oh God! Those. Man, those. They don't know how to. You frickin'. Oh, you have.
Yeah. You know what you did.
Oh, you dinger hobber. Like they say stuff that's like.
You dingus?
Yeah.
Dad.
Dingus doesn't
My dad
quite
would know. Look at this dill rod. Just be pissed in traffic, just white knuckling the steering wheel.
You get some of the best insults. I think that's how the best insults are born, is from someone who is trying to not say what they want to say. You like my dad just you monk, and you're just like what?
Yeah.
You're too subdued for the environment. That's my dad. You monk.
You monk. Go to your monastery and don't sleep with women. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, go sing. Go sing in a cave to other men.
I'm at a monk right now. If I go to Dingus, you're done. You're done. Why did you shoot in, other than for obvious reasons, why did you end up shooting in Madison? Comedy on State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed the room immediately.
Of course.
Yeah.
Comedy on State, one of the things that was alluring to me about shooting there.
Great use of that word, Jeremiah. God damn.
Thank you. Yeah,
Damn, dude.
yeah. I go to thesaurus.com daily for words.
God, I don't even know what that means.
They have a really good mic setup on their audience.
Oh, yeah, that's
They've
right.
recorded
So many
somebody's albums there that I was like, this sounds really good. And for me, that's one of the hardest things. Like I've directed a lot
Getting
of
the audience to
stuff.
sound good for your...
Just having them sound like it did when you were performing the show.
yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because we've all been in that scenario as a comic where you're like, I feel like I killed, and then you watch the tape and you're like, it's dead. The audience wasn't mic'd properly. Was this in my head?
But the baby powder, it's everywhere.
Yeah. I checked all the boxes. How did this not feel better? We shot. Jesse Chifo was my director of photography, who he works at Comedy on State, and he has been directing a lot of specials lately. And we spoke, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like shooting these shows tonight, and I'm like, if we get it, like we get it. But we set up. We both kind of put our equipment together. I've got some great equipment, and he does too. And we kind of were like, after the first show, I'm like, I think I got it.
Yeah.
Because the special is 52 or 53 minutes of one show, and then the last 4 minutes is literally one bit from the Late Show.
Crushed that last bit.
Had to put it in.
You bombed for that fool.
Yeah.
Got him.
It was all for that 4 minutes. Yeah.
That's really cool. No, Comedy on State's the best.
Yeah, it was awesome.
One of my first featuring gigs was there. I went in and did a guest set in between doing some colleges out there.
Yeah.
And they asked me back to feature, and it was just the sisters, the whole vibe of just the loyalty of that club is crazy.
Yeah.
They just built such a good comedy community, and Wisconsin as a whole actually apprecites comedy. It's one of my, when people say where's some of your favorite places, it's up there. Denver's
so
up there.
fun.
Phoenix is surprisingly great.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin is for sure up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a blast. The green room's great there. Yeah, this is a great club.
That's great, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremiah, I sincerely appreciate it. Everybody here listening, make sure you check out Jeremiah's 1 hour special called Daddy. God damn it, Jeremiah. Look at his shirt. I'm not even going to say it anymore because it's bothering me. It's called Dad. It's called Daddy. It's my father, Jeremiah. It's called Daddy on YouTube. Please check it out. It's absolutely hilarious. Jeremiah stand up on all social media, and you can find him on his many podcasts, Scissor Bros, Jeremiah Wonders, and of course hosting Stand Up on the Spot. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks so much for having me, brother.
Have you ever had a dream that you had to do so much you